Hi all, I have an interesting game to show you from the Isle of Man tournament. Magnus Carlsen is participating in the Isle of Man this year, making it a really strong lineup overall. In this game he's playing against Jeffery Xiong. I'll give you the pronunciation from chessgames.com to do justice.
Jeffery Xiong.
And again?
Jeffery Xiong.
Okay, Xiong. Surname. The first name seems like Jeffrey. Okay, so he's a fantastic player, only 16 years old, but 26-30 FIDE. He's actually he won the World Junior Tournament last year. He became a Grandmaster the year before in 2015. So a fantastic player. Let's see what happened in this game. So Magnus Carlsen kicked off with knight f3, ready opening to start off with, and now c3. So it could be a London system or a relative of the London system. We see actually bishop g5, so this is quite different actually. This is like I think Torre attack, but it's related. It's going to have potentially the same structure as a London system, this triangle potentially, which we get now. h6, bishop h4. You can see there's quite a lot of differences now because the bishop's being kicked to h4. There's some extra weaknesses on light squares. Knight c6, knight bd2, a6, bishop d3, bishop e7. Looks fairly standard so far. Knight d7, white took on e7. Knight c takes e7, which creates a kind of weakness of the last move, you might think, in that e5 is potentially more of an issue. And in fact, Magnus seizes the opportunity here, while both knights are not looking at e5, to pounce on e5. This is an interesting decision here because potentially it's double pawns, but it's an aggressive pawn wedge, and also there's things like queen g4 later if that pawn's established there. Black took on d4 and did take on e5, and is probably not in a rush now to castle kingside because the queen's got full access to g4 and h5. You might see a rook swinging in with f4 and rook f3 later. So black maybe was a bit wary about castling. He played bishop d7 after rook e1, rook c8. White has a classic kind of strong point on e5, which can be a precursor to a very dangerous attack. Black is trying for some sort of minority attack here on the queen side now, and not bothering with castling. Yeah, Magnus's h4 is very interesting. It seems as though it's not doing too much, but we see a very cunning idea now coming up. Black pursues the minority attack, and structurally speaking, even though white, the engines might say to win a pawn, but actually Magnus does something a little bit more human. He keeps his structure intact. He takes on b4 and creates potentially a passed pawn, obviously, but he's keeping his structure intact. But the problem is, you know, a4, there is a slight Achilles heel here that once this is protected with b3, that c3 square now can be used by black. Let's see, rook ac1, rook fc8. It looks as though black is fine potentially, but Magnus now is interested in some sort of kingside attack, and this next move is actually very, I believe, instructive from an attacking player perspective. Can you guess the move that white played here? If I give you 5 seconds. Okay, h5 is actually a quiet move. It reminds me of some Morozevich attacking games in Lloyd's Bet Masters. This structure is now more of a fixed target. You see that h6 has been constrained, which means later there's possibly peeling the g file open with g4, g5. So by first fixing the structure, it's now ready for peeling. But black probably should immediately try and exploit his kind of trump card dynamically as possible with not king f8 as played, but rook c3. Apparently this is the way to go. For example, like this. And it should be okay for black. Black should have enough pressure here to keep white at bay from any intentions on the king side. That should be an even position. So rook c3 immediately might be the way to go. We have in the game king f8. And now g4. Now rook c3. So it's one move too late in a way. Timing is everything in chess. But here, Magnus is ignoring the b3 pawn. He wants to get on with his attack. He just plays g5, hg, and now he can't take on g5 without losing the bishop, so he takes on c3 first. And yeah, it looks like he's giving up his queenside, he's neglecting his queenside, but his intention here is to undermine with h6 now. It's too dangerous to take on b3. If queen takes b3, h6 is too dangerous. For example, like this, h7, queen takes is devastating. There's nothing really, if g takes, check, and then check here wins the knight and then the rook, so that's not very pleasant. So yeah, it's not too many good options, yeah, after queen takes b3. So black plays knight f5 to try and stop h6. But here, now, we have bishop takes, and now, guess what Magnus plays? A really dangerous move from an attacking player's perspective. It's a great move to see on the board. If I give you 5 seconds. Okay, e6, it does a few things. It cuts across that third rank defence. The queen might have been able to swing across. It gives the e5 square for the knight. And now, yeah, after bishop takes e6, h6, g takes, and now not queen takes h6. Magnus keeps the king cut off and also pins the bishop. And it means now things like, if white was given like 2 moves, knight e5, knight g6 is mating. Either king e8, queen e7, or queen h8 would be checkmate. Just to put that on the board. Here, just to show you, knight g6. And if here, queen h8. Or here, you know, if that was the intent, if white had a few extra moves, that would be over really. So king g8 was tried. And this is a very difficult position, by the way, because black did have a final chance to stay in the game here, it seems, instead of king g8. In fact, if you want to practice your defensive skills, can you see what is possible here for black to try and defend himself? There is a crazy looking defensive move. If I give you 5 seconds, black to play and try and defend. This didn't happen in the game. King g8 happened in the game. But before we go there, it seems the crazy queen d8 is possible. It seems it should fail, right, to rook takes e6, exploiting the pin. But in fact, here, black has got a fantastic pawn which he can use to get a piece back. And the endgame, for example, knight e1 or d4, doesn't make a difference. The knight's going to sack itself. This endgame is actually okay for black, it seems. It's an even position. So that was the final chance to play, to stay on the board. Yeah, that was the absolute final chance here. It seems queen d8, remarkable move, queen d8. If queen takes h6 check, this is okay for black. I think the worry was rook takes e6, but yeah, to use this resource, you need to look much further at that endgame position. It seems okay, but anyway, king g8 unfortunately allows. Can you see what Magnus played here? If I give you 5 seconds. Okay. Actually, yeah, he doesn't move his king yet. Queen takes h6, threatens knight g5 and mating. It's here, white to play, yeah. White to play. Black is threatening queen g4 check, potentially, to be a nuisance, but Magnus plays king h1, just for rook g1, and there's no defense here. The queen is also eyeing, by the way, that c1 square, so you know, any use of in this position after king h1, say c2 here, the queen's eyeing c1, so even this is not helping, well, because of the queen eyeing c1. So that pawn is held at bay as well. So that was the final position. King h1, black had to resign. So a bit of a hack attack there for Magnus Carlsen, but pretty instructive. And in fact, even at this moment, you might have been tempted by king h1, but Magnus keeps king f8 away from the board, as well as eyeing the c pawn potentially. So that is a fantastic attacking move in its own right. Just queen takes h6. Yeah, on king h1 here, maybe it's slightly, no, actually the key point is king h7. Maybe king h7 here, and then there's things. Addendum analysis. It turns out actually king h1 is also winning, not just queen takes h6, because I mentioned king h7, but actually there is a resource here for white which wins. Can you spot it if I give you 5 seconds? So on checking, actually a bit more, this line. Okay, knight g5 is winning, because after takes there's actually king g2 with the idea of rook h1, rook h8. There's nothing black can do to stop this. You know, yeah, this is hopeless. So yeah, that's another way of winning. But yeah, Magnus's move is also winning, queen takes h6. But yeah, this way, yeah, knight g5. And if it's not taken, knight takes e6. And unless the queen wants to give herself up, this is going to be checkmating on g7. So that's interesting. It was a very, very strong attacking position. So even without taking h6, it seems king h1 winning. Okay. Yeah. It works very well, very smoothly in the game, this whole thing, how this happened after queen b4, king h1. It gives a very smooth impression indeed. So 33 moves there. So Magnus playing really with his attacking hat on. Hope you got something from that. Comments, questions, likes, shares appreciated. Thanks very much.